Key concept for this week is when you're thinking about your design, think about how you present your information directly translate to the knowledge that your map reader gets from your map, right? So if your map is designed for a general audience, then you need to make sure that information is clear, easily understandable, approachable, and fairly simple, right? Because you want people of all different cognitive skills, all different areas of expertise, age groups, abilities, etc., to be able to understand and use your map. Whereas if you're making a map that is a little bit more specifically focused on knowledge that's specific to a discipline, right? Like you're doing a map that's on forest, tree measurements, and you have all sorts of different, forestry oriented language and techniques and methods that are associated with that, and you're displaying that information in a way for other foresters, for instance, then your map purpose is not a broad audience, but rather a specific industry standard or academic or knowledgeable audience. So thinking about who's going to be viewing your map and what type of information they're going to be getting off that map is very important. So as an example, let's say we have let's take the example of tsunamis, right? And so we have different types of tsunami maps that are available. This one here is a tsunami evacuation map for this Manzanita, Oregon, right? And so the information that you're trying to present in this map is that somebody who looks at it could get a real-time, urgent information about how to evacuate a certain space and where to go for safety, right? So you want to make clear color contrast. You want to make routes visible, direction of travel visible, landmarks, main roads, information that somebody who could look at this map prior to entering a tsunami zone could cognitively remember what the evacuation route is, or somebody who's running in an urgent state and saw this map could easily decipher where to go, how to get there, what to look for, etc. Concurrently, we could have a seismic activity map that shows the event that would cause a tsunami and the geologic functions behind that, right? In the same basic region of Central Oregon here. And this map would be something that would be more oriented towards general knowledge. Here, this one's from the Seattle Times. This one is one that's meant for a general background information of the mechanism or the mechanics behind what would cause a tsunami. And so in this case, right, your map is intended for a broad audience. What you want to do is present information in a approachable, easily understandable way, but it does not have that temporal urgency that an evacuation map does. And then a third example could be a map that's looking at specific geologic structures and fault lines and various bathymetry geology that is the underlying factor of how a tsunami moves and how it will impact the coast when it arrives, right? And so you're looking at a much more expert audience. This is a pair of maps from a peer-reviewed geologic journal that's looking at, if this earthquake event happens, how do we know where the tsunami movement or impact will be most felt, or how it will be felt is based on this geologic signatures that are left from previous events, right? And so in this case, you have a very expert audience that this map is intended to be viewed by to convey expert knowledge that can then be used to translate that into public dissemination of routes or plans or things like that. So, what your map purpose is and who your audience is really depicts some of those design decisions that you make, some of those different issues you look at in terms of symbolization, scale, the complexity of your information, the amount of information you put on. You have to think about all these things like what type of cognitive load does the user have when they're using your map? What situations could they be using the map? And how does that impact how they'll be viewing it?